He went from shuffling cards in smoky Vegas backrooms to staring down legends and taking their chips for millions. With a beer in one hand and pure swagger in the other, he became one of poker's most unforgettable characters. The flashy chains, the wild antics, the one-liners. He had it all. But behind the spotlight was a man battling demons.
I mean, it's like, what's up with this, man? Play this table and wait forever?
He climbed to the very top of the game, only to come crashing down in front of everyone. This is the wild rise and the dramatic fall of poker's ultimate showman. Scotty Nguyen's story starts in Nha Trang, Vietnam. These days, the city is a tourist hotspot, famous for its white sand beaches, clear blue water, and relaxing hot springs. But when Scotty was born there in 1962, it was a very different world. Vietnam was on edge, with tensions between the North and South rising fast. Life was uncertain, and danger always felt close. Scotty's mother knew she had to make a move. With war closing in, she scraped together everything she could to give her son a chance at a better life. At just 11 years old, Scotty left home and began a journey that would change his life forever. His first stop was Taiwan, where he lived in a refugee camp and worked odd jobs as a laborer. 2 years later, an American family stepped in to sponsor him, and by 13, he was on his way to the United States. Life in America was anything but easy. The language, the culture, even the cold winds of Illinois, it all hit him hard. Lonely and unhappy, he asked for a new placement, somewhere that reminded him more of home. His wish was granted, and soon he was living in Costa Mesa, California. The weather was better, but Scotty still felt out of place. He started skipping school, getting into trouble, and running the streets. But that's when he stumbled across the one thing that would change everything: poker. At first, poker was just a way to kill time. He lost more than he won, but the game hooked him. He played at friends' houses, then moved on to pool halls and back rooms, chasing tougher games and tougher opponents. By the time he hit his 20s, the pull of Las Vegas was too strong to ignore. The city of lights, action, and cards called to him, and he packed up for Nevada. He got his first break bussing tables at a casino, crammed into a tiny garden apartment with 5 Vietnamese roommates. Not exactly glamorous, but for Scotty, it was everything he'd hoped for. Right in the middle of the action, surrounded by the buzz of the city he had dreamed about. With his busboy paycheck, he scraped together a small bankroll and started taking poker more seriously. The problem? His hunger was there, but his game wasn't sharp enough. So, at 21, with no big plan other than paying the bills, Scotty walked into dealer school. That move landed him a job in the poker room at Harrah's, and that's where things started to change. Night after night, dealing cards, he studied the players. That's when it hit him. You could actually make a living from this game. Back then, it was pretty simple. Texas Hold'em or 7-card stud. He didn't have long-term goals figured out, but for the first time, he saw real possibilities. Dealing cards brought him $150 a day. Serious money back then. But the second his shift ended, he'd rush to the Stardust to sit in the $3, $6 stud games. Every night he went broke, and every night he came back. He didn't care. The rush of gambling was enough. Back then, he didn't even know what being called a donkey or a fish meant. All he knew is that other players loved seeing him at the table. Losing never crushed him because he knew tomorrow he'd deal again and make his $150 right back. That routine shaped him. Slowly, the kid who just wanted to gamble turned into a player with presence. The games got bigger, and Texas Hold'em pulled him in. The aggressive style fit him perfectly. Then, in 1985, everything changed. Scotty got 2 weeks off from Harrah's to deal a no-limit Hold'em tournament in Lake Tahoe. He wasn't sure he'd even play, but he scraped together a small bankroll and took the trip. His nights turned into the same Vegas routine: deal all day, play cash games all night. When Scotty came back to Vegas, he wasn't the same guy. Suddenly, he was rubbing elbows with poker legends: Johnny Chan, Puggy Pearson, David Gray. The new kid on the scene was Scotty Nguyen, and his lifestyle grew just as wild as his reputation. Before long, he was living like a mini version of Stu Ungar, lost in gambling, drugs, and stacks of money. He had 4 casino lockboxes, 2 at Caesars and 2 at Bob Stupak's Vegas World, each stuffed with chips and cash. All Scotty cared about was piling the money higher and higher. But one night, it all disappeared in just 4 hours. Scotty found himself right back at the bottom, fighting for the seat he knew he deserved. Now, back in the early 90s, poker was all about the cash games. That's where the real pros made their living. But by the late 90s, tournaments started taking over, and that shift lined up perfectly with the rise of Scotty Nguyen. Scotty first stepped onto the tournament scene in 1991, finishing second in the Winter Poker Olympics for $6,600. A year later, he claimed his first title at the Gold Coast Open, pocketing $14,560 in Limit Omaha. He kept grinding through the mid-stakes tournaments, slowly building his name. In 1995, he finally cashed at the World Series of Poker, finishing 13th in a $2,500 event. But the real fireworks came 2 years later. In 1997, Scotty went on a tear. He won back-to-back events at the Four Queens Poker Classic and the LA Poker Classic, racking up over $71,000. Then came the moment every poker player dreams of, his first WSOP bracelet. He outplayed Mike Matusow in a $2,000 Omaha 8 or better event and walked away with $156,950. It should have been the start of something stable, but Scotty's other demons had different plans. Sports betting had him hooked. He would bet every NFL game in a single Sunday, chasing losses from morning kickoffs all the way to Monday Night Football. At the poker table, he couldn't resist side bets, wagering on whether a woman would turn left or right when leaving a room, or whether the next pitch on the TV overhead would be a home run. He admitted himself that he was sick, and by the time the 1998 World Series rolled around, he was flat broke. That's when fate and a little help stepped in. Mike Matusow staked him $500 for half a seat in a satellite tournament, and another backer put up the rest. Scotty won the seat, got into the main event, and from there, played some of the best poker of his life. He made the final table, then battled his way heads up against Kevin McBride. The last hand became poker legend. The board showed 8s full of 9s. Scotty shoved all in, leaned across the table, and hit McBride with the line,
"Your call gonna be all over, baby."
McBride, unsure if Scotty was bluffing, called while playing the board, but Scotty had the 9 in his hand, making a higher full house. With that, he became the 1998 WSOP main event champion, taking home $1 million and securing his place in poker history. From that day forward, Scotty became just as famous for his table talk as for his game. His playful, needling banter could tilt opponents and charm fans at the same time. But behind the celebration was heartbreak. The very next day, his brother Dung was killed in a car crash in Vietnam while celebrating Scotty's victory. To this day, that's the reason Scotty refuses to wear his 1998 bracelet, a reminder of the wind that came with the deepest loss. Over the next few years, Scotty Nguyen stayed on the grind, hitting tournaments at every level and keeping his bankroll steady by dominating smaller games. He had a habit of stacking up 100 buy-ins or more inside action, then sliding right back into cash games when the tournament lights dimmed. But when the spotlight came on, Scotty knew how to shine. By 2001, he had already earned the nickname the Prince of Poker, thanks to the gold chains and flashy rings he wore at the tables. And that year, he showed everyone he could back it up. In just 8 days, he doubled his bracelet count, first winning the $2,500 pot limit Omaha event with rebuys for $178,480, then turning around and taking down Phil Hellmuth in the $5,000 Omaha 8 event for another bracelet. 2 years later, in the 2003 main event, Scotty gave fans one of the most unforgettable bluffs in poker history. With nothing but an 8 and a 3 offsuit, he tossed out a bet of $12,000, coolly announcing 21. Humberto Brenes, holding ace-10, raised him another $40,000. Scotty paused, made it look like a tough decision, then declared,
"Gonna be the greatest move I ever made."
Before shoving in $100,000, he leaned back, took a long swig of beer, and asked for another one, like it was just another hand. Bernays couldn't handle the pressure. He folded. Scotty put on a show, acting crushed before flipping over his garbage hand. The crowd erupted, and with a grin, straight into the ESPN cameras, he gave his signature line.
"That's no limit, baby."
Even though 2003 didn't bring him another bracelet, Scotty stayed hot. By 2004, he was cashing in everywhere. 6th at the Party Poker Million for almost $130,000. 5th at the Mirage Poker Showdown for $121,000, and then a big win at Festa Al Lago for $185,000. The momentum didn't stop there. In 2005 and 2006, he kept racking up deep runs, and it all came together with his first WPT title at the Gold Strike World Poker Open. That one scored him nearly $1 million, solid proof that Scotty could still hang with poker's best as the game hit its peak in popularity. By 2008, Scotty Nguyen was a global name, and the World Series $50,000 HORSE Players Championship was his stage. This event was no ordinary tournament. It was the toughest of the tough, a grueling mix of 5 poker variants course, that only the best dared to enter. The final table was stacked with legends, but Scotty wasn't intimidated. With a beer in hand, he played brilliantly through 300 hands of battle, outlasting them all. Yet, while his cards and instincts were on point, his behavior was not. The more he drank, the more his temper flared. He cursed at players, berated staff, and went after Michael DiMichele at the table. It was a mess, and the cameras caught everything. Still, despite his antics, Scotty made it to the end. Heads up against DiMichele, he shoved all in with ace-10 against ace-3. When the board ran out ace-9, 6-7-4, the match was his. Scotty lifted the Chip Reese Memorial Trophy, earned his 5th WSOP bracelet, and banked almost $2 million. For him, this victory carried a personal weight. He said it was about honoring legends like Doyle Brunson, Chip Reese, and Stewie Ungar, the giants he once dreamed of sitting beside. But what should have been the proudest moment of his career turned into controversy. The poker world was split. Fans and players alike were outraged by how he acted.
Enough is enough, man. I mean, we play this game, we wait for
And many felt the WSOP let him slide because of his fame. Scotty tried to smooth things over, first blaming exhaustion and editing, then later issuing a full apology where he admitted there was no excuse. From then on, he promised never to drink during televised events again, a promise he has kept. These days, his name isn't flashing on winners' boards like it used to, partly because the fields are bigger and tougher than ever. But make no mistake, Scotty Nguyen is far from done. The Prince of Poker may not be stacking trophies like he once did, but his story, his presence, and his love for the game still make him one of the most unforgettable legends to ever touch the felt.